I'm joined by energy expert Chris Yelland, Managing Director of EE Business Intelligence. Hi there, Chris. Always great to chat to you. Today's events, is that a sign that the wheel on the big ship that is Eskom is starting to turn away from corruption and inefficiency?
Yeah, for sure. And this is one of the signals. There's been earlier signals, you remember, with the arrest of Abraham Masango and another Eskom executive. This is a different matter, really, and I think there will be more to come. Andre de Ruyter indicated that there was probably another 3 billion rand out there that they are wanting to claim from Kusile alone, and they will go on then to look at Madupi. Minister of Public Enterprises indicated that it could be 10 billion rand or more that they're going to go after at Eskom. So I think this is the start of things to come. These are claims and settlements being reached, and of course there are still the criminal prosecution of the people involved, both at ABB, former executives at ABB, former managers, former people at ABB, as well as former executives and even directors at Eskom that are probably going to be prosecuted criminally.
We have seen, just earlier this week, McKinsey paying back some money at the request of the state capture inquiry, and that, of course, is in relation to SA and Transnet. But are we seeing a turning of the tide more generally around state-owned enterprises, that we're starting to see big corporates realizing that they have to move fast if they want to, A, stay in business with government and rescue their reputations, and many of them are multinational companies, and then they leave those who perhaps did the dirty dealings directly to stand trial?
Yeah, it's such that I learned this over the years, that the power of public exposure by listed companies is far more powerful than legal action, which is very, very slow. So reputational issues for large companies, multinational companies, global companies, listed companies, reputational issues play a huge role in getting them to admit to what they did wrong and putting it right. Legal action is just so slow. And one thing that was brought up at the media briefing today that I think was so true was, these are people that have come forward voluntarily, these big companies, to admit mea culpa. They are to blame. They're coming forward admitting it. But they have given all the evidence about the implicated people within their own companies and within Eskom. They've given these to the prosecuting authorities, all the evidence at their disposal, and yet nothing so far has happened in terms of holding individuals to account, criminally prosecuting them for the wrongdoing that they've committed. And that really is the challenge right now, to get the National Prosecuting Authority to take action. They have all the evidence. They've got all the documents. They know what they have to do. I think they're just short on capacity. This
1.5 billion rand payback, it's absolutely a step in the right direction, and as you say, sending all the right signals. But as Andre de Ruyter said, it's just a drop in the bucket in terms of the debt that Eskom is still in. What happens now? What needs to happen now to stabilize Eskom, to start dealing with the debt? Obviously, they're going to go after the other people who've ripped the parastatal off.
Yeah, I think we've got to acknowledge that, of course, there has been corruption and maladministration, but that is not the big cause of Eskom's debt. The big cause of Eskom's debt, according to Eskom, is that the price of electricity is too low. Of course, there are inefficiencies within the organization as well. A big part of the debt is cost and time overruns at Madupi and Kusile that are not necessarily corruption or maladministration related. They related to a gross underestimation of the cost of these projects at the earliest stage. In order to make these projects happen, the people responsible understate the costs dramatically, and then by the time the project is being done, it's too late anyway, so the project is going ahead. But these cost overruns have resulted in massive debt to Eskom. So a lot of, the cost of Madupi and Kusile have largely been funded by debt.
Chris, I wonder what you make of the timing. You know, at the same time, earlier this afternoon, we have this great announcement that money has been clawed back from inflated contracts. This afternoon, the State Capture Commission is hearing once again from former Eskom CEO Matsela Koko. Now, last time he appeared, he said he had been unfairly accused as corrupt, and he said he actually ran Eskom really, really well when he was in charge. Do you think that the news that a big corporate has admitted to inflating costs kind of put the kibosh on that argument from Matsela Koko? It's interesting timing, would you agree?
Absolutely. It really shows Mr. Koko for what he is. The reality is that he was the executive at Generation at the time of this Kusile ABB contract. You may remember, it's well reported in the media, that at Kusile, the subcontractor of ABB was a company called Impulse International that did a lot of the cabling work for the control and instrumentation project. Impulse International, one of the directors and the shareholders of Impulse International was Mr. Koko's stepdaughter. Now we see ABB, handing back 1.6 billion rand through to corruption. Well, connect the dots. It's been well reported that Mr. Koko's stepdaughter was a director and shareholder of Impulse International, and that they received over 1 billion rand contracts from ABB, ultimately from Eskom. And now these contracts are being investigated. So, yeah, it really, I think, puts big question marks against the testimony of Mr. Koko.
Thank you so much for giving us such interesting analysis. Energy expert Chris Yelland, Managing Director of EE Business Intelligence.